we start you off with what we call essentials, basically going from not knowing anything to knowing something, getting the kind of the blocking and tackling out of the way. And that typically takes them the first 2-3 months. And then once they've got the basics under their belt, then I move them into my mastery sessions, which is where it's more, it's more hands-on, a lot more role-playing, a lot more scenario-based, where it's like, okay, you've learned this concept, like you've learned how to deliver an effective, I don't want to use too many buzzwords, but an effective upfront contract. Today, we're going to throw you into some role plays. In your world, this is the scenario. Now deliver it in groups and stuff like that. So we practice.
20 to 30 sub-trades per job.
$35,000 a week.
You will be licensed 10 years next year.
You've mastered the trade. Now you need to master the business. Welcome to the Build Line. I'm Jerry, and this is Heather. This is episode 11. Before we get into it, I'd like to say, everybody out there in TV land, please subscribe, like, follow, do all the things to give us all the feedback and all the things that we need. We're paying for this. This is our podcast. It's coming out of our pocket. We don't have any sponsors yet, so the more you guys subscribe and do things and leave comments and follow, the better that will be for us to try and get some sponsors.
Yeah, tag us. I love the shout outs.
Yeah, so we've got a good guest in today, and I'll let Heather introduce him.
Yeah. So today we have Matt Saia. Matt is the owner of Sandler Sales Leadership and Sandler Training here in Sacramento, with over 30 years in sales experience. Matt's a coach, works with sales professionals and managers who are frustrated with the challenges of maintaining a full pipeline, qualified leads, the best, just one of the most genuine and just somebody you want to come and be your sales guy. I feel like when you say a sales guy, like I get like that John L. Sullivan, like I'm going to sell you a new car kind of guy.
I worked at John L. Sullivan.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, shout out. Maybe we have some royalties. But in true genuine, Matt, you are like the polar opposite of what I would expected, having had you as a sales coach, having had you help our business and other industry professionals that we know. And I'm so happy to have you on the podcast and be able to learn and share.
Well, don't oversell me, Heather, please.
Oh.
But, no, I appreciate it. And it's been so much fun working with you and Steve over these it's been about 5 years, actually, since I first met Steve. Yeah. So it's been a while that I've worked with you guys. And I've listened to your podcast. Jerry, you and Heather do a great job. So appreciate you having me, and thank you for the opportunity.
Do you prefer any special pronouns, or, I mean, not pronouns, but any other words than sales guy? Everybody who doesn't like sales, it's like this sticky thing. What do you think about that?
It's funny. The word sales turns so many people off, doesn't it? Like, what do you think of when you think of a salesman,
like, I don't
right?
think of, when I know you, I don't go, he's a sales guy. It doesn't go that way.
Yeah, it's funny. Companies do that too now, if you've noticed. It's like they're getting rid of the term sales in their team. They're calling them like business development directors because everyone's afraid of the word sales. I don't care what you call me.
Yeah. So this is Matt, the business development director.
Yeah, BD guy. Okay, the acronyms. Get the BD guy.
Another acronym. Jesus.
This is true. There's
a stigma. Yeah, that's exactly it. There's a stigma to the word sales. So people don't, and some people are like, I would never go into sales, right?
Yeah.
I never do sales. And then they're like, you know what? I'm going to open up my own business. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And then they realize, well, I guess I got to sell.
Yeah.
I guess I got to be a salesperson too. So we all have to sell in some way, shape, or form, don't we?
Yeah.
And regardless of what we do.
That is so true. What brought you into sales, Matt? Maybe give us a little bit of background.
BD.
BD. What brought you into the BD? That's like one of those weird commercials. Do you have?
You can call it sales.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the word sales, Heather.
Okay.
So out of college, it's like I think going into sales is the perfect thing for I don't know what I want to do with myself. I don't know what I want to do with my life. So I started selling. My first job ever was actually selling chewing gum. I worked for Wrigley.
Wow.
And I had the entire state of Montana. So I was just driving along selling chewing gum.
Yeah.
It was interesting. And then
1920? What is selling chewing gum?
It was more of a merchandising position, to be honest with you, but they called it a sales position. So that was what, 30 years ago, something like over 30 years ago, right out of college. And just kind of stayed in sales, worked for a number of, companies during that time, went through the corporate world, and then finally eventually decided once I got to leave the corporate life, what is my passion now? What am I good at? I felt my biggest asset that I had at that time, I was managing salespeople, is what I love doing is teaching people, making them better at what they do. That was more fulfilling to me than just selling gum to somebody, right?
Yeah.
So that's the part I loved, and that's when I decided to become a Sandler trainer and buy a franchise.
Okay. So you're selling the sell.
Selling the sell.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I like that. So break us down for people that are not familiar. What is Sandler? What's the Sandler training? What does that look like?
Sure.
You've never experienced that.
Here was let me take you back a little bit to answer that question, because when I was managing salespeople for some pretty big corporations, I was getting frustrated because training for even a big company, generally when you're training your new salespeople, they would fly you all in to corporate headquarters and you would get trained on the product. Basically, you'd sit in a room with everybody else. The marketing team would come in and tell you all the great features and benefits of why you know what you're selling. This is what it does. This is why it does it. This is why we're better than anyone else. And then here's a whole bunch of brochures to go give and show people how great we are. Mm-hmm. So what does that turn your salespeople into? Feature benefit pushers, which isn't really a sales process. I was frustrated because nobody was teaching sales process. Mm-hmm. And I, as a manager, it's like I started, I think for the lack of having that within the company, I started doing it myself. And that's when I learned of Sandler, really through reading David Sandler's book, mm-hmm. which it's a funny title. It's called You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. Mm. So basically, yeah, I mean, the whole point of it is, of the title is that, we can't just, I can't just tell you how to sell. You have to, I can give you some concepts, some ideas. You have to go practice it and make it part of who you are. Because I've been to the sales seminars and they don't work. They don't do anything. They get you all gung-ho, rah-rah.
Yeah.
But it's not really changing any behaviors. So I fell in love with this book. I started teaching some of the principles out of it. And my reps actually started selling more, believe it or not. And I actually won an award back when I was with Nestle for Best Region. That was the first time I had won an award as a manager, and it was the same year that I started implementing some of the Sandler stuff. I didn't even know it was a franchise at that point.
Yeah.
Back then.
You were just taking the principles you'd read and applying it in your real world application.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because if you don't have a sales process, that you need to get one if you run a company. I'm good with people is not a good sales process. I mean, you should define what that process looks like. And we didn't have that with any of the companies that I worked for. So I looked outside to Sandler and that book specifically, and it started working for us. That's when I fell in love with it.
What is your experience with Sandler? I mean, you guys took Matt's class and everything, and how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so it's interesting because we got told when we were first starting out that Steve does all the sales, and Steve needed to take sales training. And the initial pushback was, I know how to sell. I don't need sales training, right? And I think that's kind of how everybody starts. I don't need sales training.
Exactly.
And it was reiterated us through a few mentors that you really need to understand sales. You need to look into Sandler. And so Steve found Matt locally here. And it really did change how we sold. And it started with figuring out what, to your point, what are we selling? What are we? What are our core values? What are our mission? And so it really broke it down to figuring out what we were as a company. And then it's easy to sell when you know that, right? Because it's not coming across in that sleazy way. It's not coming across in this, pushy manner that you get with sales. It's this is who we are. This is what we do. Do you want to be a part of that? And so it's been interesting watching the journey because Steve's gone through your training, our office manager, we've had internal leadership meetings with our employees that have helped us build, both our mission and our vision statement, and figuring that out to really make that process flow over the last 5 years.
It took some time for that. The mission and vision part of it that you're referring to, and I remember that was one of the more fun sessions that I've done. And there was a lot that built up to that, and really a lot of learning the Sandler system, learning the concepts, and then taking the conceptual learnings there and applying it to like when Steve took it, applying it to his personality, applying it to the GC industry in general,
Yeah.
and then going from the knowing to owning of it.
Yeah.
And I think once you guys got to that point, that's when you came to me and said, we're ready to really, really dive into our vision and mission.
Yeah. And that took Steve and I figuring out what our vision was for the company, and then working. We did it as an exercise with our employees to develop the mission overall. Everybody, we sat down in a room, you helped facilitate that for us, and really putting that together as a team. And so I think it's interesting because people put vision and mission statements on their website all the time, and it's this nice, it looks great, right? It's fluffy. We have one, check that box. But do people actually utilize that? Is that actually something that they use for reference? And I think it was explained well to us that if you're struggling with a decision in your business, but whether you're an employee or the owner, of what do I do, that really should be the guide.
Absolutely. It should drive every decision you make as a business owner, for sure.
Yes. And if it's truly what you are, right? Because that's what the point of it, right? This is our mission. This is our vision. This is where we're going. Reflecting on that, of what should I do in this situation? Well, what's our mission, right?
Maybe we should define the difference between a vision statement and a mission statement, because I think
do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that your listeners necessarily know the difference.
That's
and
true,
I think it's
yeah.
easy to just find one on the internet and say, okay, well, that sounds good. I'll just put that for us. No, you got to put some thought into it.
One thing I think that a lot of in our world contractors is they get into opening a business, air quotes, to make more money. They go, I got to make more money, I got to do this. So they throw a lot of things together, websites, business cards, whatever, in their brain. And they're not doing it sincerely, right? And you can tell when you read somebody's website that they built this thing, and then you go to meet them, right, on the, if you're a customer. I've read their website, I've looked at, let's say, their social media, then they come to my house and all those things match up together sincerely.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to be able to kind of sell them I guess, talk them into spending $500,000 with you. And I don't think that contractors, they don't think that's important or something. They miss that part of, hey, we're trying to get these people to spend $500,000 or $200,000 or $300,000, whatever the number is. It's not 20 grand. They want to do it with somebody that they feel is going to do the right thing. And I think it starts with these mission statements and all these things, and because people actually read them.
And, obviously you mentioned they all want to make money. Yeah, we all do as business people. But if that's what your mission vision statement is, you're going to fail big time.
You have to treat it and feel it and do it all with passion.
Simon Sinek, I don't know if you know who he is. He once said, he wrote a book called Start With Your Why. Mm-hmm. And one of the big points out of that is nobody cares what you do, but they do care why you do it.
Yeah.
And you need to put some thought into that when you're developing your vision statement. Why do you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just had that conversation with a client yesterday that was in here interviewing us to do this and to come in and do their remodel. And it came out, why do you do this? And it's like, because we genuinely like what we do. Yeah. And I was like, nobody thanked me for building a prison, right? But the joy I see when you get to move your family back in, that's why we do this. And that is such a genuine statement from us. It's like, that's why. And people look at that and they're like, oh, okay. Well, I feel okay opening my wallet and spending, $500,000
spending
to
the
do
next
this job.
year with you coming in and out of my house. And it's a huge deal. And they need to feel that way. And I think a lot of guys miss that.
The other advantage of that, which is why it was so great that you guys put in that work of working on your vision statement, your mission statement, and we even worked on what are your shared values here that you want to have in this business here, is that it basically builds a culture.
Yes.
Culture is hard to define, right? It's like, how do you define a culture? But if you start with the vision, you started with a vision. Where do I see myself? Where do I see this company? Where do I see us? What's our future? It's future focused. That's the vision.
That's the vision. Where do you want to go?
The mission is, what am I? What do I stand for right now?
Okay.
And then the shared culture exercise was fun too, because we brought everybody in. You remember we brought everybody, all of your employees came in.
Yeah.
And I gave them little pieces of sticky pads.
Yep.
And I said, write what you want this company to stand for. We had probably 50 words on there, from anywhere from honesty to integrity, quality, stuff like that.
Safety, yeah, all of it, yeah.
And you can't have 50 things in that, you know, in that statement. So we whittled it down, and I forget what we came up with.
5.
Is it
and
5
they're
now?
actually on a poster in our office that's framed next to, it's right outside my door. And that's in there. We reference that all the time because it's so true. There's a nice add-on that we did at the bottom in some nice blue painter's tape that says that we're a little bit extra, which is very fitting for if you work here or you know us, because we are just a little extra. But it's true. And it still stands. I mean, we did that exercise, my gosh, almost 4 years ago now at this point, and it's still, everything on there is still so true.
Nice.
Okay,
Nice.
first sales experiment. Man, that all sounds great, Matt. I'd really love to do it. I just don't have any money. I don't have the money for your class to do this sort of vision mission training.
Okay.
What would you what would you say into that?
Yeah.
Like, you know, these guys are working there. All the people not all the people. There's a lot of people listening, and all this stuff that we say in here, they'll just automatically cop out to, oh, I don't have the money for Matt.
I'd probably take a step back and be like, why would you even consider doing sales training, even if it were free? Would it even work for you?
That's good.
What are your thoughts? And then I'd shut up, by the way.
Yeah, right. Listen. Yeah, I'll answer that. Would I do it for free? Yeah, I'd do it, and I'd pay for it for sure. I mean, I see the value. Everybody that I work for that has taken a Sandler program is above and beyond the people that haven't.
What does above and beyond mean?
Their culture, back to their culture. You know, you can tell that they have a little more class, a little more step in their game. You know, and you look at their business, and their business is just a little higher. You get these little hints of elevation. You know, they've been through the training, then learned what they need to, and their business has grown. And,
Grown financially?
I would say. I mean, I don't know their finances, but it looks like it.
Okay.
You know, so I believe in the Sandler program, and I've never even taken the class. I just, from everything that I've seen over the years, I think that everybody should do it. And financially, for the guys that keep going back, oh, I don't have the money. Well, don't go to Hawaii once this year for summer and pay for Matt's class or somebody's class and better yourself in business and team.
I think it gets to the root of the problem of why. Like, is there really a sales problem, right? Like, I think there is a dynamic of recognizing if you think you have a sales problem, right? You need to recognize that first.
That you have a sales problem?
Correct.
Well,
because typically most people don't think
they don't think they have a
problem,
problem.
right?
Well, let's not call it a problem. Let's just say I need a class to teach me something new.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's not working. Phone's not ringing.
Okay.
Right? Or I'm not closing this.
Or you want it to ring more. Yeah, you're not closing the jobs. That's the one. That's the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say let's pretend, Jerry, I know you don't have any money, so let's just use the.
It's all going to this podcast. I mean, come on, we need some
get some
sponsors.
sponsors. I'll take you. Oh man.
Hypothetically, if you took a sales class, and you said you have some people that you know that have taken the class and they're making more money. You said that they're financially better off.
It appears that way, yeah.
Have they quantified any of that for you? That's like how much more they're closing, or how much more deals they're getting?
No, not like a 10 times or anything, but they do say, "Oh my God, this thing has paid for itself over and over again." Yeah.
Do you think, because you mentioned one of the issues is not closing enough business, right? Maybe not closing as many of the bids that you're giving.
Yes.
They're not closing as fast. Do you think maybe learning a sales process might help you do that more?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, to answer your original question that you were testing me on, that's where I would take the conversation is how much more do you think you could do if you really felt that you were good?
Right.
And capitalizing on all the opportunities that you could be capitalizing on.
No, I see what you're saying. I don't have the answer.
And then you got to tell me if it's worth the investment.
Right.
Of taking a sales class.
Is a sales thing he's doing. He's leading me down
he
to
totally,
answer my own questions.
Yes, he's reversing you.
The sales technique is not to tell people, it's to get them to admit that they need the help.
If we were actually having a sales conversation, I probably would have phrased those last two things in the form of more of a question.
Yeah, it's always a question, yeah.
So that's the point. It's like the value is the difference between where you are and where you want to be.
Right.
And typically with a business owner, there's a money component to it. Fair?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? It's like, okay, I'm giving 10 bids a month and I'm closing 3 of them.
Yeah.
I should be closing a higher percentage. Okay, well, let's take it there. Let's pretend you were giving 10 a month. What's 10 bids a month? What's realistic? What would you like? People will say, I don't know, 6, 7, or whatever the number is. Okay, take them through it. Well, how much more money would that be? Would you be making? What would that mean to your business?
Yeah.
Should you get to that point? What would that mean to you personally? Should you get to that point? What would you be able to do that you're not doing? Right? That's where the value is. It's like, okay, then it's like, okay, here's an investment I'm going to make. And you could do this in your own world too, in the general contracting world, right?
Yeah.
Do it with a kitchen. It's like your kitchen's here, you want it to be here, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's the difference in value there? I know it's a little harder to quantify it
Yeah.
because it's not real expense. But point being, that's where the conversation should go.
Yeah.
Is why would you want to do this? What would be the benefit for you to take my class, Jerry? Do you think you'd make more money? And if the answer is no, that's fine. It's probably not a good fit for you.
Yes,
Okay.
I do, based upon the track record and everything I know about your business, for sure.
Now, obviously, people might say, okay, well, do you guarantee that I'm going to make more money? Of course not.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But you have to put in the work, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
goes back to how you then do it. Why do you think that business owners or people that are owners that sell have a hard time with those sales conversations? Why do you think that they don't close? You use the example of like, you're going on 10 sales calls and you're only closing 3. Why is that?
Well, you're giving too many bids, number one. Number two, I think they don't understand that people don't, like we mentioned earlier, people don't care what you do. They care about their own problems. And I think, if you don't understand how people buy, you tend to fall into go into a person's home, and let's just take a kitchen, for example. They want a new kitchen, right? You start telling them how great you are with kitchens, how great your company is, which nobody cares about that. They care about their kitchen process, right? And you start thinking that you're selling. I'm doing a good job selling to them.
Yeah.
And you give them a bid. And what people aren't doing is they don't know how to ask the right questions at the right time. And that's, I think, when people ask me, Matt, what's if you could say one thing that you do that really helps people in your class, what is it? And I would say I teach them how to ask good questions in a sales conversation.
Yeah.
Because nobody asks enough questions. And I'll tell you, people answer too many questions also in a sales conversation.
What's an example of a good question in sales that you would recommend?
We'll take the kitchen example, right?
Yeah.
Somebody invites you into their home. I want to redo my kitchen, right? Typically, you start to, maybe take measurements. You ask them what they want. Do you want granite? Do you want this? Do you want that? What do you want your cabinets to look like? Those are good questions. But what you're not asking is why.
Why do you want the new kitchen?
How often do you go into a home and say, why are you doing this project in the first place?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a basic question, but how many people are asking it? Because there's a reason they brought you in.
Yeah.
There's a reason they called you, and they're missing something, right?
It's the root of the problem. It's not that I just want a new kitchen. It's that I currently can't host my family Christmas because it's too small and nobody can, my whole family can't sit at the island to have breakfast in the morning, and we're
Right.
missing out on this family time. Like, right? There's
That's exactly
something
my point.
deeper.
Yeah. And most people don't get that deep.
Yes.
Because there's the reason that they brought you in here is not I want a new kitchen. The reason they brought you in here is exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated with some component of my life that I want it changed. That's where our questioning should go. I mean, when a prospect feels that you understand their vision and their pain and their suffering and what they want their life to look like in the future, it's such a different interaction. And it differentiates you as a contractor too than everybody else that comes in here and just says, okay, let's take the measurements and asks all these surface level questions.
Yeah.
So a large part of success at sales is being able to get to that, what I call third level. Get to the third level. It's not just why am I here? It's not just, why did you invite me here? It's tell me more about that. Let's go deeper to understand the true issue, the true pain, so to speak.
I heard it somewhere, and I don't know if this is a Sandler principle, but there's the 3 whys, right? Because by the time you ask the third why, you're actually figuring out what the root of the problem is. But it takes almost 3 whys to figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I call it third level pain. That's Sandler terminology, pain, right? Everybody has pain that we want to fix. And really buying is either you're going away from pain or towards pleasure. Those are the only two buying emotions that there are. So you need to ask those questions. And yes, you're part of the class that you're referring to is when we talk about reversing and asking more questions to really dive into, why did you invite me here? And why do you want your kitchen remodeled?
Yeah.
And the first level is that. The second level might be, you know what? The house was built in the 90s. It just needs a refresh. Everything looks kind of 90s-ish. It looks old, blah, blah, blah. We just want to refresh. That's what I'd call second level. Then you get into it, and which is the example you gave, Heather, was perfect for third level. I'm embarrassed. I can't, we don't have enough room. The kids are all over each other. It's uncomfortable here. I'm embarrassed to have friends over to entertain, stuff like that. That's when you're getting into the real emotion, because people buy emotionally and justify their decisions intellectually.
Yeah.
So you have to uncover the true emotion early on in a sales conversation.
Yeah. I joked when I first learned about this, I called it the Jedi mind trick, right? Because it would be great. Steve would come home and he would ask these like 3 whys. And if you've met Steve, it's like, why are you asking me so many whys? Like, this is like a Jedi mind trick. What are you doing to me? But it's true, because that drill down is really what makes that relatable. It goes back to that pull. I don't want to call it pulling on the heartstrings, but it really is. You're really tapping into what they really need and how you're going to fix that and how you're going to make that better beyond just look at my pretty pictures on my website. And like, you can prove that you can do it, obviously, right? They found you and they think you're reputable.
And it kind of goes back to we talked about your why, understanding your why earlier. Think about that. You ask that many questions and get that deep into the emotion of it. What's your prospect thinking at this point? This person is really getting my why right now. That's a connection right there.
Yeah. I think it goes back to people not looking. We look at construction so much as like we're building and, we're putting up drywall and we're slinging mud and we're painting and we're doing all these things, right? But like, it's like their biggest, I always tell my team, it's their biggest investment. It's the second most important thing to them besides their kids. Right? It's their biggest asset. It's something, it's their home, it's their memory, it's their safe place, right? And so they're going to make decisions about that from an emotional level, because that is their sanctuary, right? That's your home. So when you think about it from that perspective, outside of just hammer, nails, and some countertops, it's different. You're in a different playing field. It's
true in every industry. I mean, every purchase decision is made with an emotional response first. Think about anything you've ever bought. There was an emotion attached to it. And it could be anything from the smallest thing to a house or a car, something big. There's an emotion first, right? I want that. I need that.
Yeah.
Because either you want something you don't have or you have something you want to get rid of. There's an emotion there. And that starts the process. And that's why that's one of the things that drew me to Sandler too, is because it's psychology at work. It's just how people process things, and that's how people buy things. And that's why the quote I told you earlier, people buy emotionally and justify their decisions intellectually. That's a very psychological way of putting it, but it's true. I mean, I have a story I've told in class. I call it my avocado story, where I was, this was an epiphany I had because I've been teaching this for a while, and I actually never really thought about it in practice until I was driving to a networking event one morning. And I was a little early. I'm usually early to most of my meetings. And I was thinking about my dinner that night. I had ground turkey defrosting, and I was thinking about my taco salad I was going to have that night. And I had everything ready to go in my fridge, right? I had the tomatoes, the salsa, the sour cream, and the cheese. And as I'm driving, I'm like, I don't have an avocado. And by the way, I love avocados. That's probably a good part to add to the story. I'm thinking about how much better that salad would be with an avocado on it, and how it would probably be a lot less fulfilling if I didn't have an avocado on it. And this is going through my mind. This is emotional things. It's like, it would be great to have an avocado on that thing. And this is the system at play, right? The buying system. So then I'm justifying it emotionally, or I'm justifying it intellectually after that. And then what I start thinking about is, well, do I have time?
Yeah.
Do I have time to take a detour? Is there a grocery store on the way that's pretty convenient? And there was. I'm checked the box. Yes, yes. Is an avocado, how expensive is it? Avocados are what, $1 or $2? Not too expensive. Logically, I'm thinking, I can make it work, right? So I pulled over. I bought one avocado. It was a Rayleigh's on the way over.
Yeah.
Just to buy one avocado. But that was the whole process. It started with an emotion, and then it concluded with intellectually, I justified whether it would work or not for me. So I actually brought the avocado into my networking group, and I told that story. I got up and I said, I am emotionally attached to this avocado.
Did you eat it? That's the question.
I put it on the salad that night, yes, and it was wonderful.
Huh. Good story.
Thank you.
I like that story.
It's there's a lot of things. Can you explain like what the class is? Like what people here come take this training, is it a classroom you're sitting in? What's the deal? Like,
I
what's
can
going
do a
on
lot
there?
of different things based on what your needs. My 90% of my business though is what I call my public sessions. And it's for the people like Steve that's like, I don't know Sandler. I want to get to know the Sandler system so I can start incorporating into my world, right? So I'll have people do that and sign up. And I can do it live. I can do it Zoom. Most of my stuff is done Zoom now because I've got clients kind of all over the place. And we just get on Zoom once a week.
As a group.
Yeah. And we start you off with what we call essentials, basically going from not knowing anything to knowing something, getting the kind of the blocking and tackling out of the way. And that typically takes them the first 2-3 months. And then once they've got the basics under their belt, then I move them into my mastery sessions, which is where it's more, it's more hands-on, a lot more role-playing, a lot more scenario-based, where it's like, okay, you've learned this concept, like you've learned how to deliver an effective, I don't want to use too many buzzwords, but an effective upfront contract. Today, we're going to throw you into some role plays. In your world, this is the scenario. Now deliver it in groups and stuff like that. So we practice. You got to practice or you're not going to get good at it. Like I said with the book's called, You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. You have to have that repetition in order to change behaviors. And that's what I really try to focus on once people hit my mastery sessions.
You'll give them the tools to get out there and practice in real life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I give homework too.
Oh, wow. Well, that's school. It's class.
It's like real school.
What about one-on-one? You do like a one-on-one business coaching type of thing to kind of...
I do. I have people that I have actually some people that have taken my class and they've gone maybe a year, 2 years, and they're like, Matt, I need to focus on other things. Can I still use you as a coach? Absolutely. I do one-off coaching and individual coaching, which, by the way, if somebody's taking my program, they get that included anyways.
Oh, wow.
I'm here to be your coach. If you have something come up, call me. I've had people send me, emails. How would you respond to this kind of thing?
Nice.
I handle stuff like that all the time.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's important to have, everything that I've ever done in business, like starting basic, you have like a CPA or a bookkeeper, or somebody prepares your taxes, you start and you have this person you found, and then you get the real person. You go, oh my God, this is great. Same with like my insurances and things like that. Mm-hmm. I think it's important for us as business owners on top of the mountain all by ourselves to hire somebody like you to tear us up a little bit and straighten us out, and kind of go, hey, let's look at you, because there's the sales techniques, but then there's the person. Have you come across where kind of people aren't, they can't get the words out of their mouth because that's just who they are?
It's,
the personality isn't, they're in business, they're contractors, they need to go sell, they can take this class, but they don't have a fluid way of talking to people. Just like maybe they couldn't be on a radio show,
Everyone learns at their own pace for sure, and everyone's personality is different. To answer your question, some people do have a harder time assimilating concepts to their own personality if they're just, if it's so far out of their comfort zone that they just can't get into it. Now it's and when that happens, I try to take it in smaller increments with those type of people.
Yeah.
If they're really struggling, because part of my goal, and I actually tell my students this that are in my class, part of my job is to make you slightly uncomfortable every day, every time you talk to me, because that's where growth is. I do?
Yeah, every time.
Okay. Am I making you uncomfortable right now?
Uncomfortable, Jerry. Jerry, you're uncomfortable. Blink once.
But slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like we have to do that. It's like, you have to get out of, everyone loves their comfort zone, right? It's like, that's safe, right? Mm-hmm. I know the outside of that is the growth zone, right? We have to push ourselves to get in the growth zone where we're slightly uncomfortable. And it's doing things that maybe we haven't done before or haven't done a lot. Like, I've never reversed somebody before. How do I do that? I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. The first time you do it, you're probably going to be terrible at it.
So break down for somebody who's not familiar. When you say reverse, what is that? What's the concept?
Essentially, reversing is answering a question with a question.
So give us an example.
Do you use subcontractors for your drywall?
That's a good question. Why do you ask?
You just reversed me.
Because, and the point of doing that is because you're trying to find out, and correct me if I'm wrong, the root of why the person's asking that question. Is that fair?
The question the prospect brings you is never the real question. That's an old David Sandlerism. I didn't come up with that. And that's a big problem I find with a lot of people that don't understand how sales works is that, and another problem with the fact that we're conditioned from a very early age just to answer questions. If you think about it, it's like our parents ask us a question, we answer them or else we get yelled at, right? When we go to school, teacher says, Heather, what's 5 times 2?
Yeah.
You're not going to say, that's a great question, teacher. Why'd you ask?
Yeah.
So you're going to tell.
You're saying I'm raising good salesmen? Is that what you're saying? Because that's something my 7-year-old would say.
So, exactly. So we're essentially, part of reversing is understanding the question before you answer the question, because you don't know why I asked you, do you use a subcontractor, right? So you're going to reverse that question. There could be a number of reasons, right? You might, let's face it, it's a yes or no question. And there is a definite answer. You either do or you don't, right?
Yeah.
But do you know why I asked you that?
No. Yeah. So my answer would be yes in this example. Yes, I do. That's a good question, though. Why do you ask?
So here's the thing. If I were to reverse that, and you can answer and then reverse. You can reverse. I mean, there's different ways to do it. And again, that's why I love the Sandler system so much, is because you can adapt it to the way you use it. But let's say I reverse it and I say, Heather, that's a great question. Is there a reason you asked me that? And you might say, you know what? The last time we did a remodel at our house, we had some bad experiences with a subcontractor. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not there yet. Remember? 3.
Yep.
Now we're at 2.
Yeah.
I need another one.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example? Can you tell me specifically what happened?
Yeah.
Now I'm telling you the whole story,
Yes.
right? Well, the contractor used this drywaller that was definitely not Jerry Brewer. It was some guy named Chuck, and he showed up late, and he was unprepared. His truck looked like a disaster, and it took forever to get that part of the project finished, and it was never a good thing. There was no communication at all, and I couldn't stand that guy. So basically, we went from the question originally was, do you use subcontractors? But the question really was, can you assure me that you're not going to send this loser to my house or some loser to my house and cause a lot of delays?
Yeah.
And inconvenience for me. That's the real question.
That's the pain in the Sandler world. That's really the pain. That's what they're actually genuinely worried about, and that's what they want to know.
Right. So it's up to us to ask the question to find out why did they ask that question, because you don't know unless you ask.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a underlying principle. If you don't know the reason they asked something, it's okay to ask.
Yeah.
Why'd you
Most
ask
people
me?
aren't coming out with that just very direct question of like, well, do you use crappy subcontractors that aren't licensed and going to make a mess? I mean, we do have some clients that are that direct, but for the most part, they don't. People don't come across that way when they're vetting or they're trying to decide who they want to work with.
Sure.
What would you say is the biggest mistake you see from people that take your class that think that they know sales? What's like the number one thing where you're just like, you don't know what you're talking about?
Well, you just mentioned it. It's thinking they got it when they don't got it.
And that's an ego thing, or explain?
Yeah, it's like, I went through the first 3 months. I've got the concepts, right? I can reverse. I understand what reversing is. I understand what having an upfront contract is. I understand what pain is. I don't need your class anymore. And they leave. This has happened. They leave thinking they've got it, but they haven't put in the reps yet. And they might have it theoretically, which is great, but until you actually do it and practice it and get that reinforcement end of it, and then come back to me to work on it, you don't have it. It's not ingrained. You're not going to get it in two months. That's why I don't like giving boot camps. And, I've had companies say, can you come in and talk for 4 hours to my group? And, I'll tell them straight up, look, it's not going to change behaviors for me coming in for 4 hours. I'll do it if you're going to throw a bunch of money at me, but I'm going to make sure you understand. You'll get some good concepts and things to take away, but it's not going to change inherently how your team performs out in the field.
Yeah, let's talk about that reps a little bit. So in a general contractor, how many how many reps would you say you get in a year? How many sales calls do you guys generally go on?
Oh, shoot. I think that I would say if you asked us that question 5 years ago, it would be well over 100.
100?
Yeah. 5 years ago, it'd be well over 100.
100 in-person?
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes. And before this process. I
Yeah.
mean, so you're talking at least one, if not two a week, right? And I think I think the big overarching theme that came out of this for us and understanding sales, understanding our process is understanding who our client was and really vetting that down to, is this a good fit? Are we a good fit for you? And are you a good fit for us? Because now I can tell you that number is definitely half, if not like a third for us now. Because for most part, it's figuring out if this is the right client, is this the right project? What do we want in terms of client, customer, location, job? And then determining, is this going to be something that we then want to go build? And that's a different concept. That's a hard concept. That's not something you're thinking about year one, year two. That's a mind shift of saying, this is what I want for my project, and understanding, again, back to mission and vision, what we want as a company, what we're going to go build, and finding the right jobs for us.
So important, Heather. And I love that you brought that up, because so many people don't think of it as the other way around. Is this good for me?
Yeah.
Not just, am I right for them, or will they pick me?
That takes, in the beginning, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about, I need to get this deal. I need to pay some bills, and I need the money.
Yes.
It's a hard mindset to get in when you're first starting your business, for sure.
The butterflies are in your stomach, and you pull up to the house or the building, and you're like, I got to get in here, and I got to do this. And the reps are important, because the first how many ever times, you're going to forget half the shit you learned. You're going to fumble and mumble through it. And I think a lot of people need to hear that it takes a long time and a lot of reps to get comfortable to just talk to strangers and pull things out of them that they were not trying to tell you. And you just have to consistently do it and learn and keep using whatever you were trained with. It's super important. In the beginning, I think a lot of people just learn how to kind of make excuses for not going in and doing it. They talk themselves into a corner, I guess you could say. And it's a vulnerable place to be for all of us. And I know from 14 years of being in business and knocking on thousands of doors, that to this day, because now I'm going after fish that are a lot bigger than I would 10 years ago. To this day, I still pull up to that building, and I've got the pit of my stomach is like, oh shit, here we go. And I've got a gatekeeper to get past, if not two of them, and as soon as they hear I'm a drywall guy, they look at me like I'm a toilet paper, you could look in you. The trick is to go in there looking like you're not in construction. You might get a little further as a subcontractor until they find out you're actually the drywall guy, and then they revert you back to somebody else, not a decision maker. And but after thousands of those, I still have that pit in my stomach, that feeling. And I don't know, does that go away? I don't think it does. Not for me. And I'm confident, and I know what I'm doing, and I've got a resume to back up what I'm asking for, and all these things. And it's still something. I think I'm gifted in a way to be able to do that. Like going back to what I was saying earlier, there's some people that have a hard time having a conversation. I just couldn't imagine how they feel if that's how I feel. My dad is a super salesman, and I grew up with him and from day one. So I got to, be around somebody with the gift of gab and kind of see how they operate. But if you hadn't had that exposure and or had any sales jobs, you have got to feel a half an inch tall sometimes. And I don't know if it goes away, right?
Well, I'm sure
the feeling, and I'm
do.
sure everybody listening out there knows it,
It's a little imposter syndrome, a little like, am I in the right room, right?
How's this going to go? Because I need it to land.
Yeah. I need a paycheck.
This has got to work out. Did I get all my numbers right? Did I got hair in my nose? Like, who's in there, right?
It's hard to convince yourself out of that mindset if you really desperately need that job, that business. And you have to sometimes just struggle through it and just try to give yourself what we call the millionaire mindset.
Yeah.
And that's the best mindset to go into any sales conversation. And what that means is the mindset of, look, I've got millions in the bank. I don't need this business, but I'm curious to see if I'd be a good fit for this person. Now, whether that's true in your case or not doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's the mindset of curiosity. And that's really, curiosity is probably such an important word when it comes to sales. If you can keep that mentality of having somewhat of I almost call it a childlike curiosity, right? What do children do a lot? They ask a ton of questions. You have kids. You both have kids, right?
No.
Or Heather, I know you have kids.
Yes.
What do? They ask tons of questions, right?
Yeah.
Mom, why? Mom, what's this? What's that? Like, think about that. If we brought that type of mentality into a sales conversation and just asked a bunch of questions. Tell me about that. Tell me why. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? But it's hard, right? Because we got to pay bills and the kids don't.
Yeah.
So it's shifting your mind into that kind of zone, so to speak, can be challenging.
But that's the importance of the reps.
Yes.
The reps. Does it get easier for you? You said you still get a little nervous. I mean, are you? Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier, a lot easier than it was. But yeah, it's just still really tough sometimes. You know, you get inside your head. Yeah, that's
it can be a scary place there.
Yeah, woof, it's a bad neighborhood.
So, yeah, I mean, and that's another part of the Sandler process. We do talk about attitude being a huge driver of success in not just sales, but in everything, right? And Heather, you know this. I mean, there's essentially three things we teach or we talk about in my program. It's the techniques, which are the flashy part, right? How to take somebody through the sales process. But we talk a lot about attitude and behaviors, too, because without the right attitude and the proper behaviors, it doesn't matter what techniques you're using.
Well, I think, and you started off and said, well, before we even started recording, right? Your second favorite answer is no.
Correct.
And most people would come across as no is a bad thing, right? I'm going to be deflated now, right? You told me I don't want to use Jerry. You came into my office. I'm like, the Starwell guy, get out of here.
Is he going to tell us no means yes? Because that's not what I learned.
Yeah, that's the Jedi mind tricks. They're
I'm not going
out.
to teach
They're
you.
out. Well, explain that though, because that's a very confident statement to say. My second favorite answer is no. Most people don't want to hear no. My 7-year-old doesn't want to hear no.
I bring this point up in the very first session I do with somebody that's new to the Sandler process. And I have it on the big words, N-O, right in front of you. You have to be comfortable with that word if you're going to be in sales. You have to be okay hearing it. A lot of us, we have this fear of rejection. It's kind of human nature, right?
Yeah.
Fear of rejection, fear of somebody rejecting us by saying no. We have to get over that. No is my second favorite answer, because if the answer is no in sales, when do we want to know with a K? When do we want to know that?
Right away.
Yeah.
As soon as possible, right?
Yes.
So that's what we do at Sandler is the old model, the old sales model was close really hard sell, hard close. Sandler, when he came out with the system in 1967, it was groundbreaking at the time. It's like, how about if we qualify hard and close easy?
Yeah.
Go for the no early.
Yeah.
See if we can disqualify a prospect rather than try to convince them how great we are.
Which sounds so counterintuitive. This person has invited you in, or they've asked you for something. I don't care what you're selling. You could be selling pocket watches, right? I don't know if that's a good fit for you, right? That doesn't look like your type. I don't know if you really need that watch, and it's almost, again, it goes back to my analogy, and sorry if I'm insulting, of the Jedi mind tricks, but it plants the seed, because to your point, it's either no, or it's, well, no, I do want that. And you keep engaging in it. And so it takes it back full circle.
That was an excellent negative reverse, by the way.
Thank you.
You've been paying attention.
I haven't even taken the class. I just have learned from being around all these people.
So here's the thing with no, why I love them so much, is the worst answer I can get in a sales call. Think it over. Let me think it over. Mm-hmm. I hate it. In fact, I kind of have this belief that really at the end of a sales call, if you accept, let me think it over, the only one thinking it over is you. Because your prospect's already made their decision at that point, typically, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, maybe not. And granted, sometimes they do need to think it over, whatever. But I'd rather not have to chase people down to get that no, because people are polite, right? They'd rather not tell you no.
Yeah.
People don't like saying no.
They don't like that. Yeah. My favorite one, and I think you taught us this, my favorite one to respond to, if you put something out there, a proposal, a bid, or anything, we're going to use somebody for this. It's, we're going to close your file. Mm-hmm. People hate that. If you say we're going to close your file, it's like it's
that's
very
an insult.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you might as well just insulted their grandma. I mean, like it is so bad, and so you
Closing your
don't close
file?
your file. You're like, no, actually, it re-engages that. But there's something emotional about that just triggers people.
It just triggered me.
I know, right, Jerry? I'm gonna close your file.
I hate it. Oh God.
Closure file is so powerful because it's a truth teller. It gets you the truth, because if they're still interested at all, you will get that response, Heather. You'll be like, no, don't do that. No, we really are still thinking. And if they really aren't interested, they might not even respond.
Yeah.
Or they'll tell you.
They'll tell you no.
They'll tell you no.
Which is
You'll
fine.
get one or the
and
other.
then you close it, right?
Yeah.
So so if anybody's listening, I go look at like your last 5-cent proposals, and I would be curious. Share your results. If you put that out there, how many of those 5 people respond to you, and how quickly will they respond to you?
You've done it?
Yes.
And give us a real life. Like
Yeah.
Let's. You're going to soften it a little bit, right? I mean, you're not just going to say, "I'm going to close your file."
No, but I mean, a perfect example is, we'll have a client that maybe has engaged us, and maybe they have an active pre-construction contract, and something's come up, family circumstances. We don't know the extent of it, but they're saying, "Hey, you know what? We need to put this project on hold, or we're not ready to sign. We're going to get back to you." Very standard response that we might get after a sales meeting. So we'll wait, internally we might track that lead for a little bit, let it go on, start to get cold. It's not a hot lead anymore. So we might go 3 months down the road, and it would be, hey, we're checking in on this. Hope you guys are doing well. Do we need to go ahead and start this conversation again, or should we go ahead and close your file? Perfect example. And you'll either get that, actually we've decided we've sold the house, we're actually not going to work here. Or, actually that's great. We would love if we could get a second meeting with you guys. Can we set it up for your office for next week? And we've had that several times.
Yep.
Several times.
I'm going to close files this next few weeks, see what
this
happens.
for you.
Threaten to close the file.
Close
right
the
away.
file.
Just a little threat.
Yeah.
So over there, Matt, what is your typical clientele? I mean, we're contractors. Do you have any high level guys and super? Or is it all normal people? What are your demographic coming through those doors?
I'm fairly, and I think Sandler in general is fairly agnostic in terms of industries.
Agnostic.
It's a big word.
Yeah.
Gotta
Meaning,
find it.
Yeah, we need that one.
okay, so not specific to any one industry.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Right.
Sorry.
I figured that's what it was.
We're gonna get you flashcards. We're gonna get you flashcards for these episodes, Jerry. It's gonna be fun.
I have clients that are B2B, B2C. I've got some that sell to government, and it's really, and because it's so, what I teach is really, it's a lot of psychology. It's a lot of really conceptualizing how you should sell, and that's why I say you need to do the work too, because once I give you a concept and you understand it conceptually, you need to apply it to yourself and your business, regardless of whether you're selling to a homeowner. Maybe you're in channel sales, meaning you sell to somebody who sells to somebody else, or maybe you work for your business to business. You can take the same concepts and apply it to the sales process, because sales is sales. Is that a bad way to put it?
And you're not
Regardless
just,
of
it's not
industry.
just for the beginning of your business, right? Like, been 15 years into it, you've now done double the sales. When we first met, there's still more to offer, right? There's more things through Sandler that you could offer us.
It's tuning it up. There's always a process.
A tune-up, yeah. Hey, can you come in and kind of let's talk for a while?
Yeah,
you
we
do
do.
those type of sessions and things.
I've had past clients, and I've been doing Sandler for about 6 years. I've got clients from when I first started. They'll still call me up once in a while. Can you come in and do a quick, like you said, tune-up session for the group? And it's not just sales, too. I mean, I work with sales leaders. Sandler has a whole curriculum we call it the Sales Leader Growth Series, for those people that manage salespeople, which has a lot of different minutia.
So they'll hire you to come, you train the guy that trains the salespeople.
The manager, the one that oversees the salespeople. We actually have a customer care program too that's pretty good, that we just revamped from corporate, and that's for those people that are pretty much don't go out and make the sales calls, but maybe they're the people on the phone, the customer service center kind of thing. We have a program for them too, because they're a good forward facing
So like
to the
our
customer.
Yeah. So like our office manager, right? She's
Mm-hmm.
not going out to make the calls, but she's the first vet. She's the first person that takes the phone call. If you're reaching out to Tankersley, she's the one who calls you back.
Mm-hmm.
And so that
Oh,
person,
good for
I don't
her.
think people think about that as much, that the person who, let's call it the gatekeeper,
Mm-hmm.
the person that is that first interaction with your company is so crucial. And I think that gets overlooked so much on who that person is. They're really figuring out, right? They need to be trained of figuring out who that person is and understanding what that individual needs from you, right? Whether construction, any industry in general, what they're going to want from you and fitting that need to make sure when you're going out there, you're targeting that, like we talked about, pain. What's the real problem?
And in some industries, not necessarily yours, but in some industries, that person is the client's only connection to the company.
Yes.
Because maybe they're taking the orders in
Yes.
that case, or they're the customer service rep.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, is that person effectively trained as well?
Yeah. And it's interesting to me because I noticed this yesterday when we had a client in, and I can tell how well and how much Jen has done that in our company, because when a client comes, now it'll be their third time interacting with us. They come to the office. That's their final meeting before they sign a pre-construction agreement. We meet 3 times. The third time they come into the office, Jen greets them, brings them to the conference room. If they walk in and they give Jen a hug, I'm like, okay, that's our client.
Nice.
Because they've already connected. They already have that they feel like this is my person, this is my place, I'm here, right? Like that is such a good tell to me. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good one. So I love that.
Wow.
I know.
6 years in, Matt, do you have any success stories? I mean, you've been training a lot of people. Is there some you can share with us of people that you've seen grow and you're just kind of like, because it's got to make you a little proud, right? Like you.
It's funny. I was saying this before we got on air too, when Steve was here. The things that I'm most proud of how I've touched people, touched their lives, and made them better at what they do, and that's why I do it. And I think I made the comment, on my in my office, I have a little kind of a shelf, and on that shelf, I was telling Steve, I don't have my bank statement isn't on there. I'm not proud of the money I've made. What I have on that shelf are the letters that I've received from people telling me I've changed their lives and I've touched them and I've made them better at what they do. Because of me, they're making more money, they're more fulfilled, they're more happy. One of those letters, by the way, is from Steve.
Oh, nice.
And he's front and center there.
Love that.
Well, you were working for people, and then you bought the franchise and became a small business owner, and now you're with other business owners and teaching sales. And so that's like now you're an owner, right?
Uh-huh.
Has that changed the way you've kind of done your business now that you've bought it, and because you weren't a business owner prior, right?
Correct. I was in the corporate world.
So your mind kind of changed, I would imagine, when you bought the business, and now you have.
It had to.
Yeah.
Because I left corporate, I don't even remember when it was. And I did, and by the way, me leaving corporate, that's kind of shorthand for, we went through a merger at my last company I was with, and my services were no longer necessary. It was one of those kind of things.
So you were forced. Your hand was forced.
Yeah, I was forced.
Yeah.
So I looked around for a while, didn't really land on anything. And then I'm like, I really thought about, what do I do well?
Mm-hmm.
What do I love doing? And I thought back to my days of being a manager, a sales manager. And what I loved most about it is making a difference, giving them some pointers, some tips, some tricks that made them better, and seeing it work. And like I remember back to doing this with one of my reps, and at first she was like, "Well, I'll try that, right? I'll see if I can do that, and I'll let you know how it goes." And she comes back to me, she's like, "It worked! I can't believe it!" She was so excited. And I don't remember the advice I gave her, but that kind of feedback is kind of what drove me. So then I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that? How can I make that a living of teaching people? And I didn't even know, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know Sandler franchised back then. I just read the book. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
So I did some research, and I'm like, wow, they franchise. So great. So I picked up the phone. Yeah, we have a spot in Sacramento. We'll sell you one. So I bought a Sandler franchise, and it lets me. And yeah, there's the, everyone has a part of their business. Business owners have parts that are the challenging parts, and then you have to do the challenging parts before you do the part you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so you think you're buying a sales training company, but what I'm really buying is a prospecting company, because now I got to go find clients.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So now and it's kind of funny because I teach I teach people how to sell. I got to do it I got to live what I teach first.
Yeah.
Before I can actually
Teach.
do it. So
Did you read? Did you guys read his mission and vision?
Matt's mission and vision?
Yeah.
I did. I actually read it before this episode.
Okay.
I did.
Continue.
So but that should be in there, by the way. That's in my mission.
Yes.
I don't have it memorized, but I know that concept is in there. I forget where I was going with that, Jerry. What was I saying?
I think the overarching theme is like you found the why, right? And you applied it to what really, again, goes back to your mission, your vision.
Oh yeah, and then I have to
why.
prospect, and I spent the first 6 months once I bought my business making cold calls.
So there you are.
I'm going to teach people how to make cold calls. I better get good at it, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, you don't have to like prospecting; you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's what drives your business. You just have to do it. And that's the behavior part of it, right? We need attitude, behavior, and techniques. If you don't pick up the phone and that's how you're going to get new business, you're not going to be successful. You got to do something to drive the business.
Yeah. And
Before
that's
you
what
get to
I
do
like
what you love
about you
doing.
is that you own the business and you work in it and you're teaching us. And I think a lot of business owners out there now thinking about the Sandler program, think about that. Think about he's an actual business owner. So you can see through our lens. You know, you're not just a guy teaching a class. You've been out there in the world selling. You're a business owner selling, and you're teaching it.
I am
And
you.
I like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know?
I am you.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's for me, that's a big plus.
And it's funny, Heather, I told you the story earlier before we were recording about, not to just respond to bids. And, it's like I have to hold myself accountable to that too, because not too long ago, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, I had somebody reach out to me saying, look, we're looking at sales training for our entire sales team. Here is a 3-page list of questions. Fill this out and we'll let you know if you're going to be our next sales trainer. Kind of weird, isn't it?
Trash.
So do you think I filled it out?
No.
Of course
No.
not.
Yeah.
Of course not. So what I did, I thought about it first. I'm like, well, what I teach is don't just throw bids everywhere, right? We have the right to qualify a prospect before we actually give them a bid. And if they're not willing to let us kind of go through that process, they're not probably not going to be a good fit for us too, right? So I responded nicely to the email. I don't simply write bids. Thank you for asking. My process is a little bit different. First, I like to have maybe a 30, 45-minute conversation with you to find out a little bit more about what you're hoping to accomplish. She wrote back, said, for our process, that's not how we are doing it. Please just fill out the form. What do you think I did, Jerry?
I hope you threw it right in the trash.
Well, I told her I would not be filling out her form, and I actually asked her to think about maybe, because I should probably bring this point up. In her first email, she said one of our challenges with our sales team is we're not really doing a good job building our relationships with our prospects and clients. And then she sends me this thing a bit.
So she's not doing
I asked her in my last email, and I'm like, when I sent the email, I'm like, there's a 90% chance I'm never going to hear from her again, a 10% chance she's going to get what I'm saying. Either way is fine with me. So I wrote back something to the effect of, that's not the process. That's not how I connect with my clients. That's not how I like to make a connection with my prospects.
Choice of words.
And I did ask her maybe to think, I know you're struggling on this end of your business of making that connection with your clients. Maybe think, could the way you buy potentially be impacting the way you sell? Could that be part of the problem? And I left it at that.
Any response?
No, never heard back from her again. And that's fine.
Interesting.
It wouldn't have been a good client for me anyways, would it? What would she
It would
have
have
been?
been challenging.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been.
It would have been hard. It would have been a hard sell.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of these people that get in front of people like you. They will crawl in a ball and kind of retreat sometimes when they're called out on things, when they think they're the boss or they think they've got it. So she might have read that and go, oh shit, I was kind of a jerk and I was kind of this, and then just ran for the door. Because I noticed most people don't want to admit it. That they need help or they screwed something up like that.
Yeah, and I probably could have helped that group, but it's like, it's like I'm not going to, if I'm going to teach you a process, I'm not going to break that. I mean, this is my process. And I don't, there's a little red flag when you ask, can you meet with me for 30 minutes and they refuse?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a little sketchy to me.
Yeah.
So.
But it's knowing your process.
Yeah. I stick with my
And
process
sticking with it.
every single time.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And Sandler isn't if you become like Sandler trained, it's not about closing every deal. It's never been about that. It's about as quickly and efficiently as possible qualifying or disqualifying somebody so that you're not wasting time. The biggest benefit is time, in my opinion, not wasting time on think it overs. We talked about think it overs earlier. And I think that's a big bonus when you have a sales system in place.
Yeah. Because not every client's for every single person.
No, absolutely. You've turned down business.
Yeah. That's hard. That's a hard place to be in. It's a hard place to say, no, I don't think you're the right fit for us.
Yeah. How about you, Jerry? What makes you turn down business? Is there anything that's like, that's not good for me? Do you have any?
Attitude, I just qualify, I guess, the conversation. And sometimes it's just like, I can see where their mind's at. A lot of people with me they give it all away really quick. And I know.
What does that mean?
They tell me what they're looking for, whether it's cheap or this or that or what kind of person they are pretty quickly, for whatever reason. And so then I just kind of say yes or no, or we're not going to be a good fit or something like that. I've told people in many different ways just to sometimes piss them off because I know it wasn't going to work, or they're just kind of, as a white guy looking the way that I do, a lot of contractors open up quickly and assume certain things. And sometimes I got to let them know right away, whether or not they're a scumbag or whatever the situation might be, sometimes nicely, sometimes rude. But yeah, I find relationships build, I think, after the first project we have. It's like they'll hire me right away sometimes if we think it's going to work out, they're just the first 10 minutes, and then it kind of goes, and then we see if it works out in the second or third. But there's a lot of slippery characters in construction, right? So they can sell me a bill of goods and I might not see it, and then I find out later down the road that it doesn't work. So it's not always first interactions.
Okay. You seem to know, though, what you will and will not deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I deal with most
important.
things because businesses are so personal. The Tankersleys run theirs this way, and this guy runs his this way. So I kind of have to conform to that because I work for them. And as long as I keep that in mind, I can mold a little bit to people. It's not always my way or the highway. So I'm pretty flexible.
Okay.
To keep the customer happy type of thing.
Well, I think the reason I threw that out at you is I think it's important that we have our limits. It's like, this is what I will do, this is what I won't do. And like when I was talking about, I will go use my sales process, and if you're not willing to at least meet me kind of in the middle by at least having a meeting with me, it's probably not a good fit. And I love the term not a good fit because we don't have to be a good fit for everybody. And don't try to be. I mean, that's why you'd write your vision and mission statement, because it might not apply to everybody that's looking for
I get
some
grouped
work.
into the sum. I get grouped into the everybody. I think that I stand out as a drywall contractor in Sacramento, but people don't already know who I am, I get grouped in with we're all the same. So I have a hard time getting past the gatekeepers and things like that don't know who I am. I'm on social media every day, all day, but there's a large amount of people that are not. So they don't know who I am. I'm just another name. So I don't get that shot sometimes. And that's the frustrating part of my going into those buildings.
Okay. So how do you differentiate then when that's the issue?
It's just play it off on what I'm standing in front of with that gatekeeper, however she's treating me at the time, or what words she might say or things she doesn't say that I could maneuver on to get past her and to somewhere, or get an email or something like that, and talk to people. And it's super. Because not like some people don't hire the best gatekeepers. They don't have this. They don't have the company at heart. They're just there to answer phones, and so it's like hard to get past them because you're talking to a wall. So it's super frustrating. So continuous. I keep going back, keep looking for other ways, calling other people.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, because Heather, you sent me an outline for this, or actually Steve sent me the outline, and one of the things you have down here is like, what is the sales process of a typical general contractor? And the reason I asked you that is because are we doing it the same way every single time, or could we change it up? Are we doing it the same way everybody else does it? Or can we maybe do something a little bit different? I'm not saying you're not doing a good job getting past the gatekeepers, Jerry. I'm just saying, are we thinking about if this isn't working, if I'm hitting my head against the wall here,
Oh, yeah.
what can I do to do something a little bit differently? What can I, in Sandler terms, we call it a pattern interrupt, doing something that nobody else does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I'm
your
always
competition
looking for
isn't
that
doing.
thing. I'll tell you that. That's something. Phew, I'm looking for that next thing.
Well, and it's like in the sales process too. How does that typically go with general? Let me ask you, Heather. You go into people's homes all the time, right? What do they expect? Typically, they say, okay, I need this done. What do? You say, we'll come out and look at it. What's the first step there? What do?
Well, the first step they have to go through, they have to fill out an
Or
inquiry.
maybe not you. As typical general contractor.
Oh, typical general contractors. Let's go out. We'll take a look at it. You'll walk us around. We'll take some pictures. We'll kind of figure out your scope, and I'll get back to you, and we'll send you a bid. That's typical,
Yeah.
right? And then maybe 50% of the time, that person might actually send a bid. For the most part, they probably ghost them.
Okay.
That's most general contractors.
That's problematic, don't you think?
Totally. Yes.
Why is it problematic?
Because
What's the problem there?
I mean,
I feel like I'm
no.
teaching class right now.
I
I'm sorry.
know.
I'm just getting
I
into
know.
the mode.
There's so many. Oh God, there's so many problems there. I mean, there's so many things because again, what's going to differentiate you to why is the client going to pick you over somebody else who just sent something, right? Again, you've been in their home for 5 minutes, right? Maybe that meeting's 30 minutes total, right? Do you really have a true grasp of what the scope is, how you're going to go do it? Is this load bearing? Is this not? How qualified is that estimate that you're going to go give, right?
Right.
Is that really helpful? And again, they're going to do that with 5 other people. Why would they be vested in you?
And I guess my point to asking you that is it's probably fair to say they're not just going to have one, probably get 2 or 3
Yeah,
people come in.
at least.
Do the same. What's that
Yes.
process look like? Again, repeat.
Yeah.
It's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
This is what I want done. Maybe the contractor tells them all the great things about why they're so great.
Yeah.
We've been in business this long. Here's some really great pictures we have on Instagram. Aren't they beautiful? That kind of stuff. And then they take their measurements. They ask what they want.
Yeah.
Send a bid.
Mhm.
Repeat. Same experience with everything. And here's the problem with that. How much credibility is there when they hire 3 people or they bring in 3 people and they all say the same thing? We're going to give, and what are they saying? We're going to give you great quality, great workmanship. We're going to get done quickly. And then you bring the next person in, they say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, here's the problem why it's not credible. What if you're the guy that doesn't have one of those things? Are you saying it? Are you saying, you know what? It's not because of quality. I mean, we really cut corners at all possible avenues, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to say that. They're going to tell you we have a lot of quality too. So there's no credibility when everybody's saying the same thing. And that's a big component of the sales process is making your sound look and sound different than everybody else that they're talking to. And it starts with the questions you ask
Yeah.
and how you behave in that first meeting. It's got to start there. And it's got to be a different experience.
Yeah.
I love it. That's
love
great.
That was a little bit of a soapbox moment for me. I
I love
apologize.
it. I'm here for it.
Matt, where can people connect with you if they want to get involved in the Sandler sales process? I mean, where do they find you?
I'm local. I'm based out of El Dorado Hills. Website is salesleadership.sandler.com. Email address is matt.saia, SAIA, @sandler.com.
Awesome.
Great.
We will also tag him in the show notes as well, so you can find him. At the end of the episode here, Matt, we determine who is the most important person in the room today. So I need you to check your phone to tell me how many calls and or messages do you have while you've been on this, because I always think I am the most popular person in the room. I am 0 for 11. Jerry is way more popular than me and or the guest. So I need to know how many text messages and or calls do you have?
No calls, 4 texts, and a message from Yelp that there's a new seafood restaurant in town. So.
You go. Can you beat 4, Jerry?
I got 7 texts and 3 calls.
Oh, man, I just got 4. Man, Jerry's the most
Jerry
important
wins.
person in the room every time.
I got more problems. You
I
guys are
don't
like, you got all these
so.
systems and you need people taking care of business.
I don't think.
This
I
is
think
direct line to me.
Jerry is just more important, I think, is what we've learned over the course of this last 11 episodes.
I believe it.
So-
I believe it.
It's true. Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and I just learned lots of good stuff.
Thank you both
Yeah.
for having me. It's been fun. Really,
Awesome.
really fun.
Thank you. And everybody listening again, go to where you can find podcasts, like and subscribe, and leave comments and send to your friends. All those little things help us. And go see Matt at Sandler Sales. Thanks.